Astro Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, and Zowie.
For the final time today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to day 2 here at the DreamHack Astro Open in Tours, France. We have an amazing matchup that is about to happen between the hometown favourites, G2, and the only Danish team in a surprising fashion left in the competition. That is Tricked. That is the trophy on stage. These guys are battling it out for the right to lift it and earn their share of $100,000. I am Parla, also known as Mantruce, and I'm joined on the desk by, of course, to my immediate left, Jacob Pimp Vinnike, and then on the far left, Juna Nartu Leppänen. I'm still pumped from that BMX performance. My adrenaline is so high right now. The crowd were awesome. Adam absolutely killed it. Shout out to Monster for bringing him down.
I should have given you a BMX. I would have wanted to see you fall.
Yeah, I will stick with the mic. I'll stick with the mic. 2 wheels,
all right, good, right?
Tricks. Yeah, wouldn't work for me, Nartu. What about you? We had your birthday cake today. We're celebrating. By the way, if you're tuning in late, it is this man's birthday today. He's turning 23 years old. Yeah. We flipped it around. Yeah, congratulations, Nartu. Still
Thank
ready
you.
to go, ready to party tonight? Not too hard.
Of course not. We're working here. We're responsible adults.
All right, there we go. Jacob, Pimp, should we take a look at these groups and give a rundown of what's happened in this tournament?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get that up on screen and make sure everybody is caught up on exactly what has happened. Na'Vi beat Misfits earlier in the competition, of course, in a best of 1, and that meant Na'Vi moved forward to play Mousesports, who had beaten Heroic. Na'Vi then lost to Mousesports in a rather, they were dominated by Mousesports. Mousesports won that in a dominating fashion, and that meant they moved forwards into the winner's advantage match. Mousesports moved forward to the semi-final. Na'Vi moved forward to the winner's advantage from that. And then on the elimination side of things, Heroic fell in a best of 3 to Misfits earlier today. That was an upset as well, and that put them into the winner's advantage final against Na'Vi, which we just saw, and again, a huge upset. Commiserations to Na'Vi. Misfits go on to play Mouse in the semi-final tomorrow. Now, moving on to Group B, we see G2 playing Tricked. That, again, was a huge surprise, and that sets the storyline for tonight. 16-7 in favor of Tricked. That meant Tricked moved forwards to the winners match, and they played Hellraisers because Hellraisers beat Envious 16-5. Hellraisers also won that, putting them directly into the semi-final. The elimination match thus was G2 versus Envious, and that was a 2-0 at the start of today. And that means our winners advantage decider match right now. I'm so excited to talk about it. It is G2 versus Tricked. And there we go. Hellraisers and Misfits on one side of the semi-finals, and Mousesports waiting for the winner of this match. Let's talk about the match. Jacob, start with Tricked.
Start with Tricked. Yeah, we saw Tricked surprisingly enough winning G2 16-7 yesterday on Inferno. I think that's going to probably set the scene for tonight as well, because I think we're going to see Inferno as one of the 3 maps being played if it goes to 3 maps. Not sure if Tricked are going to pick it again, but it's definitely going to be left in there. We also saw them play Hellraisers on, was it Train, yeah? Having a very good T-side, getting 11 rounds against Hellraisers. Eventually then ended up losing it because the CT half was horrible, but they showed they can play Train as well. And that's a good sign against the G2, who both like playing Train, and they also like playing Inferno, as we've seen today against Envious.
Yeah, I mean, Tricked has definitely been one of the surprise packages in this tournament so far. I mean, it's yet to be seen if it's the last that we've seen so far. Very close from winning that last game yesterday.
Yeah,
but
indeed.
I mean, they kind of dropped the ball towards the end of it. But, you know, they're going to be now facing a team they've already beaten. Now the question is that Inferno, is that going to be in the map pool or not?
Is that going to sneak through? Because that is the map that Tricked did the damage on.
I mean, we've talked about this a lot. Usually, I'm not a great fan of playing the map that I want a team on again later on, because the team that I've lost it has a lot of opportunities to review the game, adjust their gameplay. So it's always a little bit hard for you as the winning team to go on the same map against the same team later on in the tournament.
We Danes feel exactly the same. I talked to the Trick guys and I tried to pinch them a little bit about what they were going to do, and they made it very clear that Inferno is going to be left in there from their side, but they didn't know if they want to pick it again, because we burned our fingers a lot of times on like winning the first match in a best of one and then losing it again, you know, in the second one where it actually matters.
They have the other opportunity of going for Overpass, which is one of the bread and butter maps for this team as well. So that's an alternative. Obviously, G2's no slouches in that map either. But then again, you know, they're playing a very strong opponent, so you kind of have to. That's a bit of a gamble in a sense.
It is.
What I think is very interesting about Trick before we move on to G2 is the fact they have 3 sort of more experienced players, but at this tournament we've been, you know, shown that the new guys, Esatag and Barup, are able to fire off as well.
Which they need to.
Which they need to, exactly. They need to show that they can rise to the occasion. They certainly have at this point. Freeze there is one of the older members of the team, a guy that's been playing for quite some time, and he's kind of trying to find that form that he once had.
Stable upper, like kind of a very takes angles, doesn't go on super mobile style like we see the new era hybrid hopping, which is like jumping around, being an idiot like we called yesterday.
You called it that. Don't make this a group decision, right?
He's more old school style, put it that way, I guess.
He's a great teammate, you know, because you always know where you have him. The problem is the opponent does so well, you know, because he never really moves. Like, he is very static and he does play very safe, you know. So it's nice as a teammate to know where he is, but as an opponent, it's also nice to know that he's always the same spots.
Moving on, guys, who have we just seen on screen? It's Kenny S. We've just seen Apex as well, and of course Shox. These guys make up 3 of the players on the team known as G2. Natu.
Yeah, they had a great warm-up earlier today against their French enemies. I can't remember what the name of that team is even at this point, considering how bad they were playing. Yeah, I think they're going to be ready for this for sure. I mean, they're going to be full of revenge, considering how poorly they played on Inferno in the first outing against Trick. You know, they're going to be mad about this.
That's the storyline that we spoke about earlier. It's all about revenge this evening. Misfits got it. Will G2 do it now, Natu? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah.
It should be
it's very likely.
Right? Yeah.
I've been in this situation before in a tournament where I went on, you know, won like as an underdog, winning the first game in a best of 1, and then eventually you lose the next game and then go into a decider against a favorite, and then you get into a best of 3. You might be in it in the first map. It's really close, but the second one they run away with. So I can see this being a very similar fashion in that way, where it might be a very close first map, and then G2 is just going to prevail, being the far more superior team altogether.
Pimp, we touched upon it slightly. What are you expecting to see in terms of maps? The veto is now on screen.
Rooming Mirage is definitely a pick for G2. That's not going to be in there.
And Cash for
Trick, they don't play it. So those are the 2 safe bans, and that's how it's going to be.
That's why you're analysts,
guys. This is going to be interesting to see now if they go for Overpass or Inferno. I would go for Overpass just because of the reasons we laid out before. Just always so hard to go on the same map you've played against a team, and you already beat them on it.
Also going to be exciting to see if they pick Cobble and Nuke. They pick Cobble, yeah.
Cobble from G2.
Yeah, exactly.
They gain confidence winning against NBS playing on Cobble, you know. That's probably potentially why, because Trick plays Cobble and they're pretty decent at it.
Ooh. And there we have a train pick from Tricked.
That's what I call a curveball. I mean,
what? A cripple or
a curveball?
Oh, okay. I thought you said as in they've crippled themselves.
No, I mean potentially they have, but at the same time, they feel they're the underdog going into this, no matter what. So they feel like they have a gamble with the map vetoes. Now,
Inferno has been banned.
It makes sense for me that they've banned Inferno, considering how things went as well. You know, from their perspective, even though they've lost. And I argued that as the winning team, it's hard to pick them up again. Same goes for the losing team. You know, if you don't feel like you can improve within that 24-hour window they've had from the game they played against them, then you just get rid of the map.
Twitch chat, who is going to win? Let us know now, and we can move into some predictions. Let's start with you, Pimp.
I think it's actually going to be close again. I think G2 is the better team, so they're going to win this series. I could see it go to a 3rd map, and being overpass, there's we as Danes are pretty known for being good on overpass. It could be close. I think it's going to be a G2 series. I think it's going to be 2-0, but I see room for Trick to again mess with them. Also depends on how strong G2 actually comes out. You know, they might be a little bit scared about yesterday.
Yeah, it depends. I think it depends all. Train is going to be the map that decides it, in my opinion. Trick does have a chance it goes overpass 100%. It's a map that G2 is pretty formidable on, but they're not super good. G2's beaten teams like SK who are good overpass teams, so they definitely have the caliber. And overall, I mean, come on, it is G2 versus Tricked after all, so you cannot go anywhere else but G2 with this prediction here.
Exactly. I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm not exactly sure how many maps it could be. I mean, based on Trick's performance at this tournament, it could go 2-1, but if G2 find the form, if Shoxy Jesus resurrects himself once again in this matchup, it could be 2-0. Either way, let's get the thoughts and opinions out of our casters as well. Metas and Dust, how are you guys doing?
Good, man, good. Still stunned at what we just witnessed before, but looking forward to jumping into another best of 3.
Yeah, I saw you guys chowing down on some lasagna before the game. Are you guys feeling like fed now and you're exhilarated for this?
Sure. Yeah, well, apparently the lasagna factors in a lot there.
Of course it does.
Got that fuel in us. But yeah, you gotta wonder at what point this tournament runs out of miracles. You know, have we drained all of the magic out of this event? And so, yeah, you gotta take G2 in a moment like this to 2-0 it.
Yeah, well, Dust, this is DreamHack. Miracles happen often. Let's see if another one happens now. Please, take it away.
Well, miracles do happen, and there seems to be something in the water, something in the air for DreamHack Tour where anything is possible. But you would be a foolish man to bet against G2.
I mean, DreamHack is supplying the water.
Right,
So,
okay.
Conspiracy? Illuminati? I think maybe there might be something there. But like I said, I think that we're running out of it, and I think that G2 should safely take this one on home soil. I think that, sure, they got shocked on Inferno, no doubt about it, but what we've seen from Tricked elsewhere is that they just don't really have much of a CT side. And they didn't really have to play much of one against G2, right? Because they got so far out in front in the first half on their T side of Inferno. And I think they won second half pistol as well. So they didn't even really have to play a CT side there. And obviously we saw, you know, how they got hamstrung by not having the CT side going for them against Hellraisers on Train. Because again, constructed a great T side on that map. Their executes look really good. But yeah, it's just they don't have enough. You know, it seems like in games where they have to close out from the defensive side. And I think that these are two maps coming up top in the first two that G2 are going to be more than happy to play.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Plus the fact that, yeah, Tricked, sure, they knocked G2 down a peg. It's the best of one. It's the first game of the tournament. G2 notoriously slow to start. Some of the players clearly weren't awake or just weren't alive to the situation at hand. Maybe even took them for granted a little bit. You know, Tricked had very little hopes coming into this one. Now I think they're going to take them more seriously. Now I think we're going to see a G2 that is out to prove something to their fans in the audience, who I'm sure are going to be loud throughout, as they were for Misfits.
Yeah, we appreciate all these guys have been staying out here. It's been a marathon for them out there in the stands today, but they have showed up in full force to support their Frenchmen, you know, in the G2 NV rivalry. Then, of course, for Misfits, Dominic Neveduvic, and now they're back here to support G2 to try to make that semifinals appearance as we are live in the pistol. The auctioneering is done. Metas, take it away.
S-Attack and Apex, both going to bag themselves a kill. And after a flurry of action, I think this is going to come down to a bit more of a standstill. Judging from the positions of G2 currently, still one drop, one B long. The bomb currently in mid, a Cillian in close proximity and just gets completely evaporated. Kenny S with the kill. He's going to be able to get his hands on the bomb. Or not. Hunden will pick him off from range. He was a player that showed up against G2 the last time these two played yesterday. 2-1-2, still over a minute to play with. And there goes Shox. Headshot onto Hunden, leaving Freeze. Now, the bomb was last seen in mid-dust, but at this point, I don't know if Freeze realizes if it's been picked up or not.
Yeah, not going to have that information now that he's tucked into long A, but he can at least try to watch any type of cross into the site. That's what he's really thinking about. I think he may have caught a glimmer of something here, and he's definitely hearing this noise in mid-slope. Might be able to catch him in the backside. There it is, the headshot on the Shox. Now at the 1v1.
MBK has a deagle. Both players have that one-tap potential. MBK is lower with the HP. Additionally, time itself is going to start to work against the Frenchman. Straight to the B site he'll go. Freeze has already called this one though. He's already in position. Looking on the cross. Freeze round the side. Bomb is going to have to get planted right here, right now, and Freeze has spotted him. Not quite fast enough to stop the plant, but fast enough to get the clutch. And that's going to be 1-0.
So definitely a marathon of a round that really went the distance.
On the distance, indeed, G2 will have Tech9s and a Deagle with full Kevlars behind it. So they're going all in on this round. a lot of teams would just delay the purchase so they can get AKs into the next one. We are going to see Tech9s. Coming through is Hunden with his UMP. Molotov thrown out just to make sure there's no fast play imminent.
Yeah, looking for G2 just to kind of waterfall at these Tech9s into drop-down room. It looks like they want to go A with it as well, because they do have a player lurking over here towards the A halls. It's kind of one of a different type of 1-4 setup, I guess you could say. Seems to be what they're thinking about doing. They do have plenty of smoke grenades as well to maybe block off, doors so that people trying to peek B into connector aren't going to have the vision. Also blocking out people maybe trying to get vision inside drop-down room. So they have those options open to them. Also still could just go for a heavy B hit as well, just out long. I mean, definitely a bunch of different ways to approach a situation like this one.
Options open, as are all players to potential fragging. Burrup, close range with the UMP. And Cillian and Hunden both going to chime through with kills, alongside Hunden on a second one. Bomb dropped out in a horrible place as well. Now Hunden has the positional advantage when it comes to that smoke. You can see they're trying to cheekily spam up through the smoke there, but Essa tags up to the case. And he will dispatch of NBK in the backside. Apex, 24 health to his name. First kill's gone his way on top of it. But now this is where Freeze and his M4, 99 out of 100 times he clutches this round. He's already done one, and Apex tried to sell that rotation. Freeze is having none of it.
No, definitely not. He is gambling on staying in this one spot, and if he has to rotate, well, then so be it. Oh, just but that smoke, okay. The smoke gives it away. Now he knows what's up.
The thing is that still affords G2 another bomb plant. And now Apex trying to play the position. You can understand why he goes too progressive there. He has no health, one bullet, and he's a dead man. Better to just go hyper-aggressive and see what you get done. Plus, of course, it's Apex. He's known for his entry fragging. He's known for being very good when it comes to those reaction speed. Insta-kills, unfortunately, not going to happen. 2-0 for Tricked. Bomb plant. G2 can hold off for another purchase.
So we are 2-0 here. Sorry, it's funny because our... Never mind, I'm not going to explain it. We have technical difficulties going on. We're trying to handle it, though. As it is, Freeze with a couple of clutch rounds. Putting it to G2, who will be able to get a full buy, though. Or not a full buy, but a decent buy considering, what's been going on. They've gotten a couple of bomb plants fit into all of this. They're going to do their 1-4 setup. As ever, it will be Shock soloing over towards B. That's kind of his home ground. Loves playing off the B platform and drop-down room. He's so versatile on that side of the map. He will come off it early, though. He's looking to just group up with 5 men to push into A. So far, an equal trade, but he has 3 Tech had a chance there to really shut them out of the A bomb site, but misses his chance. And so G2 will flood in.
He's just spoiled for choice there, I think, Dust. He was caught in 2 minds, so I take the left player, the right player. In doing so, he tagged up both, but killed neither of them. And not being able to finalize is great news for G2, who did pick up the buy in the end, but it was very close to the deadline of that buy time at the start. It seems like it was the correct decision after all. G2 will be picking up this round with both the Cillian and Hunden backing away and giving this one up.
Yeah, you can see there was a little bit of an aggressive setup by Tricked over at Long. They had a player, peeking from right in the corner, then they had a player at the danger stairwell, and G2 just clears all that out. ES3 Tech missed, like I said, missed kind of his chance to stop that from happening. And so G2, they will put their first round on the board. They will be able to get away with it with 4 guns as well. So a very dominant victory. Not a lot of rebuying gonna have to take place here, which means they can fill up on utility. And so this is where they can maybe just start taking a run. As again, Cobblestone for G2 is probably their best map outside of Nuke, as far as when you look at their win percentage and things like that. This is the map that is definitely a map they're comfortable on. And it makes sense, too, because the roots of this team coming from the old Envy and the old G2, this was always the strong suit of the French teams, particularly T-sides.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. It's always been a mainstay. So you'd expect them to pick this one up fairly convincingly. I agree with the desk. The train is probably going to be the map that tells us a lot as to how this best of 3 is going to go down. Tricked with a good start, but G2 have already pulled themselves 1 round back. You can see the impact that's had on the economy of Trick. 3 UMPs and 2 M4s. In terms of firepower, G2 are certainly in the lead, and also on utility. They have a bunch of Molotovs still at their disposal, even after throwing that one onto the B platform alcove. Hunden narrowly missing out on a bunch of damage, but this round again, it's more G2 just trying to probe and see what they can get done.
Yeah, just playing a slower default at this point, just kind of spread out, you know, again, giving Shocks really. He's the big creator of plays, particularly at drop and long B platform, but it's actually Apex who's gonna sneak up because it's an aggressive long stance, again, from Tricked, and so he's able to get around it. He may get flanked. It's definitely a possibility, but Kenny has to kind of cover his backside, so this skirmish we're about to see right here is gonna tell a lot in this round.
Going up long, does spot himself a player. This is where he'd love to have the UMP a little bit closer range, but Freeze makes it work, makes it stick. Nearly gets the second as well, does enough damage that Attack can come in and finish off what he started. Bomb's been dropped down. MBK in a 1-on-4 got himself the first one. 15 seconds on the board. This would be quite the clutch, and it's not going to happen. Tricked right back into winning ways, keeping 3 players alive.
And that was just kind of a round that came down the milliseconds. If Apex flips into connector and doesn't get picked up by Freeze's UMP, that round plays out probably so differently. But that kill definitely kind of tilt the balance for Tricked. Picked up on that sneak up mid-slope and shut it down. G2, though, still able to get a full buy because they saved so many guns in the previous couple of rounds. They had that money stored up, and so they will still have AKs across the board with the exception of Shocks, who have the Tech 9. They will open up with a strong lean towards A. Again, just kind of leaving Shocks alone at B to try to, you know, put pressure on by himself.
Mr. Tag again, testing his arm up on long. Does eat a little bit of damage, just about 27 in total. As you highlighted, though, Dust, there are plenty of weapons at the side of G2. Shocks on a Tech 9, but again, in a player of his caliber's hands, it's pretty damn strong. Here comes the push. It's going to be on the A side. Bomb is already transitioning up mid, looking to push behind the smoke on the doors, but they're not checking Freeze. It's a bit of an off angle. Typically, they'll have a player in the stables itself, but the kills are going the way of G2 anyway. Kenny S, MBK, Apex, all chiming in for kills. And now Hunden and Burrup. Again, they're tapping out. Not interested at all. G2 will pick up another round.
Yeah, and that's kind of the bread and butter of this G2 team. And again, it goes back to their roots of playing these 1-4 type setups. Both Envy and G2 are known for that. Different kind of lurkers involved in that, though, between Happy and Shocks. Polar opposites, really, on how they create plays or lack thereof. So just, you know, going straight to it, just looking to assert themselves, come right up A, pure confidence, and just entry their way through, no problem. And so that will be a second round ticked up there already. A couple of guns will be saved by Trick. As money's not really there for G2 to really hunt this down. And it's also, there's some sick holding spots that the save guns on the CT side of Cobblestone as well. Really hard to chase that down.
Yeah, especially with 2 players, you know, a crossfire is probably going to be present. Just walk into that grind. Not really something you want to do, because, you know, Tricked have got the save. They're going to have another purchase coming to fruition. Not great, though. Again, Max 7, couple of UMPs. Freeze hasn't been able to get his hands on an AWP so far.
Just the UMPs and the Max 7 here in play for Trick. So they're certainly just scrapping together what they can around those 2 guns that they save. Certainly limited G2 with the same opening as the previous round. Is looking to try to use Apex to be the one to get openings for them on this side of the map.
Oh, we can see what Tag and Freeze were going for with their combo of weaponry. 1-for-1 trade. Still favor the terrorists on this aggression. Smoke has been thrown down. It allows both the terrorists to focus their firepower down into danger, and Freeze will not be getting any work done on this time of asking. Player advantage maintains in G2's hands. Not really trying anything out of the ordinary, though, G2. It's meat and potatoes Counter-Strike. They're just relying on their superior aim and firepower to carry them through these rounds.
Yeah, again, it's what they're most comfortable doing. I will say this G2 does have a little bit more depth to them. I don't know if it's to credit to Smith as a coach or what, but they definitely can go to other things if this doesn't work out. They can make adjustments, particularly the fact they like to double op on T side, which is so rare on this map, and rare in general for T sides, but they will bring it out if they have the money and if they feel it's necessary. But right now, you know, like you said, their basic play has shown up. Apex has done a great job helping getting openings on this side of the map, and they followed it up nicely. They're going to go for it once more. Great flash out of middle. Absolutely swarm Asilian and Hunden. And now the A-bomb side is under their complete in utter control, and Burrup just now has to save this AK. And so that will be G2 tying things up right away in this game.
It does surprise me a little bit that Asilian didn't just blind panic fire when he had the angle covered. Didn't even shoot a single time, I don't think, but probably wouldn't have helped him anyway. A lot of players, though, will just hold down the left click and see if they can lock their way to safety. Now it's Burrup who will save, and he was one of the main men yesterday in their loss against Hellraisers on Train. He dropped, I think it was mid to high 20s, and had a phenomenal performance. So he is a guy that you're looking out to maybe salvage some of these rounds for Tricked. If he doesn't get started, they're really going to be struggling.
Yeah, he was also big for them in the Inferno victory. He's definitely one of the guys. I mean, obviously, Hunden had like the game of his life in that game, which certainly helped, but Burrup was definitely up there. And he's another one of those young Danish players. There's been so many of them that have come up. You know, Magus Boy and Config, and then after that, it's Valda. You know, now we got guys like Nico and Yugi on Heroic who've come up, and now you have even this guy, Burrup, just demonstrating how deep that scene can be as far as young talent who are trying to work their way up the ladder. But right now, it's been G2 who have been taking this one with ease lately, as they're now up against a Trick that have very little to work with, just that one AK that Burrup saves, and they're going to try to stack over here towards Long A with 4 players. I know that they've been losing a lot of battles over here, so I just want to try to see if they can't solve that problem by just having heavier numbers in place. And not a bad dice roll to take on a round like this, but oh, shocks. Gonna take Hunden now right away.
It's by and large a full-on eco, and just Burrup saved AK. The reason for Apex's Mac 10. I've called this situation. Can get any farm into effect. That's going to be great. Going to double peek onto Kenny. And using the saved AK for 2 kills. And Burrup maintains the bulk of his health. That's a pretty big trade. The downside for Tricked here is the other 2 players don't have Kevlar. And it's going to be Freeze instantly down on the site, which will yield a bomb plant. And at this stage, I think the correct call is being made. Sure, it's a 3v2, but you don't have a kit. One of your players has Kevlar, just save. Play safe, play steady. Still early days.
Yeah, so in these AKs, it's definitely going to be huge for Tricked, who are certainly playing on low money right now. And so that means G2, they find their 4th round here, so they will take a lead back. And this is where you have to wonder, you know, what Trick can throw at G2 now, because G2 are really starting to find their rhythm. And again, this is a map they are very competent on. Like I said, probably at the top of their map pool next to Nuke, and we know that their T-sides are very powerful with the amount of firepower that they have.
G2 equals money. They're surely stacking it up now, much to the crowd's happiness and delight. And with that save, we are going to see Freeze on his first AWP of this CT side. Now, going way back when, he used to use this a lot on the broken wall on B plat and go for those early peaks. I'm curious if we're going to see that come to fruition again here.
It's always interesting to see how CT operators play this map, because some can be very A-heavy, like an Oscar if we're talking about players that are in this tournament, but then some can also be very heavily leaning towards the B-bomb site. So it's different philosophies that can take place here. Obviously, W-op setups allow you to do both, but when you're limited to just one, it's interesting to see how teams play around it. We are going to see G2 slowing things down and just kind of go into a little bit more of a balanced default. They have a little bit more presence towards B to kick things off. You know, 1 drop, 1 long B platform. Ooh, that was a nice little shot there from Freeze on the Kenny S.
I thought he'd whiffed his chance when he unzoomed there, but he still got it. Nicely done. Alleviate some of the pressure. This attack is very low on the A-long play that he went for earlier. Some Molotov and some bullets firing his way. Managed to flash himself to safety. How did G2 approach this now that Kenny S has gone down? It seems like we're going to have more of a drop-centric push applied.
Yeah, Shocks, again, a guy who can really create plays from this position. Has a couple guys coming out along B platform as well, so they're definitely looking just to try to split this thing heavy, put those AKs to work.
Burrup's going to line them up. There's one and a second as well, and they're going to be moving straight into his crosshair, and he will oblige with a 3K. Nicely done. Tricked equalize again.
They're definitely keeping themselves in this game. The problem is they've already had their economy reset twice this half, and if it were to happen a 3rd time right now, it would absolutely just drain all their funds and even force them into a situation where Some force buying would have to be involved. Some saving would be right around the corner. I think a few of the players do have some money stored up that have been able to kind of keep guns going, like Burup's AK, for example, has been floating around for quite some time, so he's been able to save some money. But it's definitely going to be a factor here soon.
I wonder at what point Kenny S is going to start to look up on the long side of A. Tag has peaked that 2 or 3 times in a row now. He's been tagged. This round he's escaping without any loss of life. But if Kenny just peers up there, he could get a free kill. A 1-for-1 trade early doors in round 9. Hunden and NBK, the casualties of war. Burup peering up onto the B plat again as more frags are traded. Burup's going to land the headshot, threading the eye of the needle onto Shox. Nearly landing a second as well. He's really got that aim on point. That's Kenny S. He has an AWP in his hands. He's moving through. He has time to burn, and he has control of the bomb, but no longer control of his own life. S-Attack puts him out. Tricked regain the lead.
Yeah, and they avoid their money being reset. They bring over 3 guns, so this is going to start helping them establish things here. And G2 now all of a sudden are sweating a little bit. They were getting control of the half, and now they've lost a couple of rounds, and they've forfeited their lead for now. And they're in a situation where they don't really have much to work with on this round. They'll have 1 rifle, which will actually go to MBK. And everyone else is just going to be unupgraded pistols. Very little utility, just Shox with a couple of flashes. So they're looking just to probably just really take into something quickly. You know, they're going to make sure that no one's actually pushing through and flanking right away, but it definitely seems like they're going to gather up for a faster B hit. But look at this, Hunden's so deep on B platform right now, he's really kind of shut that down for a moment.
There's one, doesn't get picked off on the return. There's a second there where he's actually blocking one of his teammates, which I think was Burup, who was looking to try and get himself up. That free's going to relocate back into the chicken coop. Makes mincemeat out of G2 once more. Shox now going to pick up the AK, has Kevlar behind it. Tech9 and Deagle will fill in the rest of the players. Sicilian using the angle to shut down the window push. Did take a lot of damage. He's down to just 1. This round is pretty much looking like it's a done deal at this stage. Still nades for Tricked. Nothing other than the weapons that G2 have on their backs. Shock's going to be peeking first. Freeze should have the drop on him. And there we have it. Body now going to pick up the AK, and that's going to allow the CTs to know of his presence. Oh, does land the first one onto Freeze, but they'll be able to reclaim that AWP. It will not be lost, and Trick will take his 6-4 lead.
Yeah, Burup's been really key on this B bomb site, holding it down. And again, he was definitely a key guy in their earlier matches in the tournament, and he's even been someone that stood out for them at Copenhagen Games. So this is a good look for him to kick things off. But now G2 are back onto a full buy. They have AKs across the board. They have plenty of utility. And this is where they're going to be able to hit you hard and fast if they'd like to. But they can also kind of slow it down a bit, play a bit more default as well. Just try to get themselves a bit more time to find openings. Give room for players like Apex and Shox, who are some of the main focuses on rounds like this, to see what they can find.
I feel like coming into this game, G2 have way more pressure on their shoulders than Trick do. You know, they last-minute replacements. No one expects them to really do anything in this tournament. G2 on home soil, coined the French super team. If they're to lose this, it would be a huge body blow. So Tricked playing probably without any sort of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where they had a slow start when they first came together online, but then they started to pick it up. You know, they obviously had a pretty good result in their LAN debut at Star Ladder, you know, making their way through the groups in pretty strong fashion. But then Austin, you know, they lost that semifinal to Gambit. So they definitely have a lot to prove. They have that chip on their shoulders, so to speak, and right now they're looking just to hit this B bomb site, and Apex leading the charge already.
Freeze will miss the first one. Now his position is compromised. He will be put down, and without any loss of life for G2, which is a nice cherry on top of that delicious cake they've just baked for themselves. S-Attack, no hope into this round. He will be saving. And G2 again, it's nothing too flashy. It's just straight through onto B sides, claim the entry frags, convert into a round, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it's one of those maps that really plays to just, if you can do heavy B executes and just trade frag your way into a site, I mean, it's one of those things that can be very difficult to stop. Particularly trying to deal with drop-down room can be a nightmare for CTs a lot of the time. And again, if you have the firepower that G2 has just plowing through at you at long B, going to be difficult to handle it, and that's just, you know, Apex entry fragging through. So G2, they're going to be able to get that 5th round. They're inching closer towards the tie.
Tricked will have another buy, but they are depleting what remains of their savings. They effectively have nothing left after this round. So if they were to lose, G2 will have them into an eco. We're up with $300, the richest player on Trick, to give you an idea of just how broke they currently are.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing KNES actually has the AWP back in his hands, and he's going to be very dynamic with that. He can definitely move it all across the map. This time around, though, he will have it towards middle. And Hunded's playing a very dangerous game against probably one of the most ferocious B platform players in Shox, but they're using their utility to great effect. They've really pushed Shox back. And they've taken a lot of space. Now, eventually, they're going to have to fade back, though, as this utility drops out. And it's going to be about whether or not Hunden can actually escape. But G2, they'll just say, okay, we'll just take him to drop-down room instead. You know, they got Body Company waiting here to drop down together, support one another, and use that instead. And we could see a split on the A bomb side. That bomb has been moving its way into mid-room, and you have a couple of players waiting outside the long halls. If Shox actually get around this window, because Burrup doesn't realize that someone's already made it down, I don't think, or he's just holding the edge of the smoke, but Shox can get through.
He's worried that someone's going to be at the top of drop, which is where Body was. He has claimed his head. Also that someone could be on the right-hand side, and now Burrup, who didn't realize there was a player in the smoke, Shox will greet him up close and personal before he puts the knife in his back. Asilian trying to trade off with a couple players. It's a valiant attempt, but down he will go all the same, and Shox pastes Hunden. And now Tricked's worst nightmares have been realized. They have no funds at all to play with.
Yeah, just good on G2 to absorb that pressure at long and just reroute somewhere else. You know, Shox, you know, backs off a platform, takes in the drop instead, you know, comes up with a hat trick on the round, and they actually just wind up being able to split the A bomb site thanks to his maneuvers over at the window. So, well done, and now, as you said, a full save for Tricked. Somehow, though, they almost get a frag at middle, but it's quickly dealt with, and now it's just a cleanup for G2 as they will take that lead back.
There he is, KNES with the 4K. It's an eco, but still some nice shots. His confidence, some good. A player that is notoriously quite emotionally driven.
And there it is. It's the WAWP from T-side Cobble again. So rare, but G2, they love to do it. They'll do it on any map, really, even Nuke, which we've seen at times, which is kind of crazy. But this means that Shox is now going to be able to deal with anyone who wants to take early picks on B platforms. You want to try to set up your utility. You're going to have to run across his AWP, and that still means that KNES can patrol middle and long A with his. So it allows you to just kind of slow things down and work picks on both sides of the map.
Shox with the second AWP on the B platform side. As you highlighted, of course, when you see those double ops on T side, you're not going to be going for any mad rushes. Be slow and steady. And, well, that's going to be MBK. As the deadlock has been lifted, courtesy of Asilian. A vastly important kill as well, judging that Tricked have low utility, no kits. They need those early kills. It's going to put even more pressure on the very slow setup that G2 currently have with these double ops.
Yeah, and when you're in a minutes to finish like this and you actually want to start taking into it, that's where the double op can actually start to hinder you a little bit. So we definitely got to kind of keep our eyes on that. It certainly could factor into this as Freeze is looking to maybe do something a little bit fancy here, but Body picks up on it right away, and now they'll start coming up the mid-slope. Good stop by S-Attack, but A is still very vulnerable right now.
3 on 4. Position of the bomb on the site, about to get planted. This is where the lack of kits is going to start to hurt, but 2 incendiaries could give them a gateway back onto the site. If they can draw one of these keys out into the open, maybe kills will be forthcoming. Body, KNES, and KNES again will be shutting the door in the face of Tricked to pick up an 8-6 lead. And Tricked will be onto a force in the last round, comprising of 3 UMPs and a Deagle. Nothing too special.
Yeah, definitely not much to work with. Obviously, last round, though, so you got to put together what you can, but it's certainly far from ideal. As even with the best of buys, they've struggled to hold off G2, and they've, you know, found their groove. They've started to just kind of brute force their way into things. They still have that WAWP in effect.
That's what I was waiting for Kenny S. As I mentioned earlier, Tag has been so consistently peaking on long. This time it's unlikely with the Max 7. You're not really getting anything out of that. Smoking up on the B plat. I like this idea. This is going to choke off a bit of what Shox had to offer.
Right. And remember, the response from G2 last time was to drop split A, but it's harder to do that now when Shox has an AWP. But as long as they can straight frag their way through here, then it'll be all fine.
The thing is, though, with that trade frag, now Freeze is up close and personal with the UMP. This is where the SMG can be so potent, so powerful. Kenny S with another one. The entry AWPing is real on this half thus far. And Shox is going to deliver with his own sniper rifle. Borup, Deagle, Kevlar, 1v3 clutch. Good luck to you. And to make matters worse, the bomb is just about to get planted. Wide body. Down the site it will go. Can't land it. Kenny S will pick up another one. And G2 romp to a 9-6 lead. And considering that at one point it was 3-1 in Trick's favor, that's quite the turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at those last rounds of the half, the majority of them were going over to G2. I think they only lost, what, 3 out of the last 11 rounds or something like that. So they really picked it up once the middle of the first half kind of started. And really, it was once Kenny S got an AWP in his hands, he was really just popping off. Body also having a pretty good half as well. Really just a team effort from G2. No one was really too short on that one. And so they do take it to 9-6. And so they're in pretty good control of the game at this point. But Trick, they do get to move over to their T side. And if, you know, Inferno and Trainer are any indication, that seems to be their stronger side. But they're up against some very powerful players on this G2 side when it comes to defending things.
Absolutely the case. Completely agreed. This is where Trick, I think, will be able to shine a little bit brighter, but G2 will certainly try and dampen the mood as quickly as possible. Molly and Smoke picked up. That would suggest to me that a drop push is imminent by Trick. That's in the hands of Hundred. Let's have a look. Full Kevlar. G2 not going to bother with nades or kits. Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, at this point, they're just looking to catch any type of push at A. That's really all this is. Now that it hasn't shown up, they will begin to start gathering up to actually make their own push into long A halls.
I originally thought we were going to see a B play here, but I'm very curious to see where Hunden's going to throw down that Smoke and Molly. Let's have a quick
I would
look.
guess door and balcony. I mean,
Would make sense. Because typically, you'll see that put in drop zone and try and take some kind of a control. They're all going to be moving out. There's the Molly and the Smoke being tossed out, and the kills are going to be following it. Tag with the Glock. That Molly actually not going into balcony, landing just below it. But it's still effective enough to yield a bomb plant. Body with his USP is putting bullets to faces. Borup falls, and he's hungry for more. MBK is afforded this chance to peek now. The balcony has got a player on there. Not for too much longer, though. Now it's all on NBK. His teammate has been silenced. Has been squashed under the foot of Trick, who are looking to pick up this second pistol round. And, well, Freeze, whiffing quite a few shots there, is going to get punished. The thing is, though, there's no kit. And therefore, all Trick have to do is play the time. And even though MBK is landing a couple nice headshots, this round is over. Trick have picked up the second pistol.
it's one of those things where it's great that you got all the frags. That looks really nice and everything like that. But, yeah, like you said, no kit, no way to win the round at that point. Trick by enough time. And so it is going to be 7-9. So that's a great start to try to inch your way back into it. Try things up as quickly as you can. As Freeze with some great work to open up that site.
Yeah, great pistol work. Try and drag themselves back to neck and neck. They do have to avoid any potential collision in this round, though, as G2 will be coming straight back in with 3 Deags and 2 5.7s with Kevlar behind it. Couple HEs to make matters worse. And this time tricked more of a B-sided push. Shox. Very nearly KO'd. Down to 8. Double nade will be in play. Cillian gets destroyed by Body's 5-7. Attacks to come through with 3 kills as they line up for him. Conga lining their way to death in drop zone. And now Shox and his Deagle not able to get the damage done. Trick looking good for yet another round.
Yeah, there was a moment there where things got a little bit spicy, but Esatag was quick to respond, and so this will be the 8th round going over to Tricked. And so looking to tie this game up right away. So again, Tricked definitely posing a real opposition to G2, which again, I don't think people expected at all day one, and now it's happening again here on Cobblestone, which is such a powerful map for G2. I know Tricked are pretty comfortable playing the map when you look at some of their play, but again, it's not at nearly the same level of competition.
Brup just tossing the UMP up on the tree to make sure that Apex couldn't get his hands on it. Apex has no interest in that anyway. He's got a 5-7. And he's got some Kevlar. And that's going to be the only power play into this next round. G2 surely tapping out of this one. And Asilian feels the same way. Mac 10 gets picked up. He's on the hunt for some farming. And here's the triple that Esatag picks up for himself. Nice spray control. Kenny S, Body, and MBK all fall by the wayside.
Yeah, so just full USPs here for G2 with the exception of Apex, who will hold on to that 5-7 head armor from the previous round. And so Tricked have everything open to them at this point. There is a stack over here at the A-bomb site from G2. Different angles at mid-slope, trying to set a little bit of a trap over there on that side of the map. But it seems like Tricked will all but avoid it here. They've already gotten into drop-down room and plenty of players positioned on the platform as well.
Asilian already eats a dink. But here comes the AK spray. Esatag once again alongside Borup. And as anticipated, we are going to be going back to neck and neck. Apex, the one player that could have made something spectacular happen, he is down. In fairness to G2, they are landing a lot of headshots onto the armored up Tricked, but it's just USPs. If it was P250s or 5-7, then things would get real interesting real fast, but not going to happen here.
So we are going to see the real test come in now for Tricked. It's going to be a full buy from G2. Does include an AWP in Kenny S's hands as well. No double op for Shocks. And one of the cool things about this new G2 team is basically everyone gets to play their old spots from their old teams. And so there's going to be a level of comfort there, a level of familiarity and muscle memory, as not much has had to be adjusted when it comes to their CT setup on Cobblestone.
Let's see if that comfort will be converted into rounds. 9-9. Can't really separate these two teams as it stands. Whole bunch of nades and Shocks has been picked off. They spray through the smoke. Asilian using the UMP. Exactly what it's designed for. MBK with 2. Coming around the corner of the USP. Gonna pick up a 3rd as well. And the bomb, to make matters worse for Esatag, is dropped in one of the worst positions he could really ask for. I mean, this would take a huge mistake on G2's part to lose from here. That nade could do quite a bit of damage. In actual fact, it's a bit too shallow. Doesn't land. Nice shot onto Body, who is already weakened by freeze. Yeah, G2 are just going to strangle out this round. Esatag's picked up another one. I'm surprised that G2 are going this aggressively when they have control of the bomb. He can't get boosted up into drop and go around the B long side. It's unlikely he rotates all the way around.
Yeah, there's really only 2 ways for him in, and that's this. There you go, finally. I think once they got down to 2 players, they realized, all right, maybe we should settle down a bit, just cover both angles, make sure we don't let this round get away from us. As, I mean, true to Tricked's identity, it was just a heavy utility execute on the B bomb side. Again, very existence-esque is the way Hunden likes to run things on this team. And they were able to get in, but just a good play from NBK around the tree area. Just kind of blindsiding those first 2 players out Broken Wall, who really focused down on Chicken Coop and Statue. So it seemed like NBK was able to find a little bit of a gap where no attention was being paid. And so now G2 have the lead back, but still a nice buy out of Tricked.
Yeah. Tricked have a superior buy as a result of those lost weapons in the last rounds. The Mag 7, sure, it's still potent, very solid here with a UMP. And this could have been a much fuller decked buy. Kenny S is going to miss that opportunity. We'll relocate though. Spotted 2 players at least crossing, and will land it on the second time. He's going to be looking for more as well for this one. Does miss. And that should get the terrorists across to the site in a bomb plant. Oh, I was about to say that Apex is making a move round the back of A long, but Freeze is up to it. Lands a second one. Overkill, landing the headshot onto Shocks. And G2, just as they look like they're about to creep away, Tricked, keep them at arm's reach. It's going to be all even again.
Yeah, Kenny S just couldn't get out of there. I mean, he got the 1 kill on the fence line, but not able to drop back into the side. Trick did really well to follow up and make sure he couldn't escape. And then you see Freeze being able to catch some nice op frags as well, you know, making sure that flank couldn't set in, as Shox was definitely pushing through long really quickly. So that can always be a problem when the flank comes that rapidly, but it was handled quite well. And so Trick will tie the game right back up at 10-all. And again, we saw the money was already low for G2. Now they've lost out the round. Money reset after they won a round where they only survived with 2 players, and this is spelling a lot of trouble for them now.
Tricked are in a commanding position.
Yeah.
It's 10-10, but the economy is firmly in their favor. And as a result, G2, they're going to go for a force.
Yeah, they're going to get everything that they can, and includes a UMP, a Nova, and a Deagle. But they are looking to just fight right back as soon as they can against a fully decked out Trick. Now, they do have a couple UMPs in play in their own right. Make sure they can go heavy-handed on all the utility. Which is, again, that's been like their bread and butter, is to have a lot of nade sets to work with. Make sure they can limit all the angles with the Molotovs. So if they're going to go B, that's going to be clearing out tree, perhaps chicken coop. I mean, there's a lot of things they can try to clear out with that, as well as making sure the close corners at the platform are covered. Use it to control a drop-down room. So they have everything at their disposal.
G2 tunneling into position. Molly's going to force MBK back a little bit, but he can still hold the same angle as soon as that clears, and he will just go straight back into the corner. Another Molly may be coming at him again. He can just do the same thing. And indeed he will. So that's quite a lot of utility that's been expended, and nothing's really been gained. G2 aren't sure if someone's dropped in, but I'm sure that MBK would have heard that either way. And now the flashes are coming in. Shox is gonna... The UMP close range, able to pick up a kill. And now they're actually going to get some different firing lines in play, and it's going to be complete clean sweep. G2 brush tricked aside in one of the worst purchases we've seen all day.
Body was so key there to bail Shox out. Shox looks down to avoid those first flashes, gets the first kill because of it, but he definitely got in a little bit of trouble, and it was key for Body to slip in there and make sure that he could backpedal, make sure he could follow up with another frag of his own, and just actually shut down the B execute. That's the thing about Tricked, is that their executes can be somewhat telegraphed at times. And so you can definitely get people in position. And now in this round, it's very low for Trick, but Kenny S here alone, luckily he's backing up at the exact correct time, and now Apex is going to be here as well. So this should be G2 extending their lead by another round, but we'll see.
How quickly the fortunes have changed. Tricked looking like they could extend the lead into a potential map victory, and now G2 have snuck that one away and put it in their own back pocket. Is it about to shift again? Is that pendulum going back and forwards? It's looking like it might be. Hunden's got himself a kill, and now Body is going to get 1 and 2. MBK's rattling off with the XM. Not really tailor-made for that kind of a scenario, though. Cillian and Estetag are both low, especially Estetag, so he still fancy G2 to come ahead with the bomb drop
the
where it
bomb.
currently is.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that the bomb's down in such a terrible spot. But it's crazy they did this much damage on a round where they had 3 people on just Glocks. And still they're able to kill 3 players and almost get a plant out of it. And now Cillian's doing some crazy stuff, flanking all the way around B. He does have that Tech 9, no armor though, so aim punch is going to be real when he gets this fight in connector, but he may just blindside them and somehow win the round as long as Estetag can do something to keep their attention.
It's just so crazy, it might work. Not quite though. A for effort. But now Estetag and his Deagle have to carve a masterpiece. 5 seconds, there's the first one, Deke. All Shox has to do is hide, bide his time, and he will get the kill. And was that after time? I couldn't quite tell. It was exceptionally close. But he may have just money screwed Estetag on top of everything else.
You know what else is exceptionally close? That round, which is pretty nuts considering the investment that Trick had into it was basically nil. But nonetheless, G2 weathered the storm. They're now up 12-10. But they're now going to be up against a fully decked out Trick, who have shown that their initial executes can be quite dangerous to deal with. Again, they're always well calculated. They do pretty good at pushing people out of place. But it's just been the firepower of G2 has been able to handle it for the most part.
Oh, that is cheeky. Nearly gets punished as well. Hunden is like, oh, check my Galil out. Oh, Kenny S's gun is far bigger than yours, Hunden. And it shoots much harder.
Treading the line there. I see, as we are getting into some long A control from Tricked, as that is where a lot of the focus is. I have a couple players towards drop down room as well, so a drop A split, definitely a possibility. So Cillion's already made his way in, though. MBK awaiting it here outside the window in the perfect position to counter this part of the push, if that's in fact the intended target. But now you see Trick shuffling back. So maybe they just want to split B now. They know they have a Cillion with a little bit of map control. But it's going to be about getting past this B platform player. There's a guy hugging the tight corner. And will they suspect that? Will they clear? They have a couple of Molotovs to put down to handle Shox' position. But he hasn't played that yet, so that could catch them off guard. As I say that, though, he just drifts away from it, spanned through two. Almost a third.
You just love to see CS like that. A timing on point. Shox knew exactly what he was doing. And he's going to pick up a third as well. A clean sweep of around G2's economy builds. And we are going to have a timeout from the captain of Hunden on Tricked.
Yeah, they want to talk this one out now because it seems like now that we've hit the home stretch, G2 has grabbed this game. And it's definitely in their possession at this point. It's going to be difficult for Trick to fight their way back. It's a situation now where the money's pretty low. And so you're probably only going to do a very light buy here, if anything at all. That way you make sure you can get a nice full buy when G2 are going for a map point in the next round. So that's kind of the talk that has to be had here by Tricked.
The funds, well, it's not looking good, Dust. Medium to high 2000s. Cillion has 3.3k. That's pretty much as good as it gets for Tricked. They can afford to tap out for one more round and then try and come back stronger in the next one to outright win this.
What if Hunden actually just looked up in the crowd and saw Rush B with P90s? He's like, that's it?
That's the play
That's the
we're
play.
looking for.
Thank you, crowd. As the crowd certainly have a lot to cheer about now because G2 are in great position to take this one and move on to the semifinals tomorrow. Again, they're already pleased to see that a couple of their Frenchmen on Misfits have already found their home there in the playoffs, but G2 are the expected one to be there next.
And the fan favorites too, of course.
Absolutely. Definitely took a harder path than what was expected for them to get to it, and still not done yet. As they have Kenny S lightning fast against Burrup.
The kind of speed that you cannot teach. That is just natural talent. S attack though. He's gonna silence Kenny S before he can get a second. Apex just trying to play the time, buy as much time as possible for the rest of the team to strike in that classic CS GOAT moment where you think you've killed someone, you switch away and realize they're still standing, and now you no longer are. It is a triggering moment, as I'm sure Apex is gutted right now, but Shox is still in this round alongside Body and NBK. And he is going to task. Gets the tag, falls. Hunden getting shot from multiple angles, isn't sure where to look. And NBK comes in to pick up a quick fire 2K to give G2 a 14-10 lead. But Tricked ecoed so they can get a full buy into this next round.
They got so much out of that. Again, there's been a couple of rounds like that for Tricked in this half where they've gotten way more than you expected with so little put into it. Starts with Kenny S getting chased down, and then Apex, like you said, got caught in a real awkward moment there with that M4. And so they're able to get that extra buying power into this round where Freeze will have the AWP and everyone else is well bought out. But now it's the WAWP from G2. So that means Shox is going to be looking to take some fights over here on the platform, while Kenny S will have his towards the A side as well. And this is going to be a different look for Trick to fight up against. They may not expect this to be coming. I'm sure they know it's an option for G2, but you still never know when it might happen.
And if you're looking at some of the world's strongest double-op setups, it doesn't really get any better than Kenny S and Shox.
It's pretty solid.
Pretty much the pinnacle.
Cold Fallen can be pretty strong when Fallen was in his prime, for sure. But yeah, this is definitely one that can be tricky to deal with.
Cillian takes minimal damage. 2 AWPs in play for G2 have not had to fire a single shot so far. Eerie silence falls on the battlefield as all we can hear is the burning of Molotovs and the plumes of smoke.
Yeah, a lot of gathering here from Tricked over towards the A side of the map. They've already burnt some utility, just getting control of what they've gotten. There's a couple of smokes in play to maybe block out door and balcony and just do a true A hit. That's what's going to happen.
Kenny has Apex as backup. They're going to look to boost over the smoke, and Freeze will land the shot onto Apex. Kenny S now spoilt for choice. Does he go for the wall bang, or does he just try and stand and fight? And in doing so, he is going to end up falling as a result. 2-1-2, 2 AWPs still in play. That's the benefit of having a double up setup, of course. Shox is still alive, and he has yielded 1 kill for his efforts. 15 seconds left, and the bomb is on the site, and the terrorists have got to start planting that right here, right now, and indeed they will. Body skirting his way round long of A. In the stables, the bomb planted in the alcove. He can't see anything just yet, but connects the shot onto Essetag. And if he gets that incendiary off onto the side, then Freeze is basically screwed. But Freeze has landed it as Body pulls it out. Shox up against Freeze, who's traded out to the AK-47. Can Shox land this shot? No, he can't. And Freeze will keep Tricked alive. Just about. A beautiful 4K.
Yeah, well done by him again with AWP, and even swapping out for the AK when he knows that it was going to be difficult to win the 1v1 with it in his hands, and that's kind of the limitation that Shox was up against because of it. Body did well to catch that player on their balcony to give Shox a chance, but it's Freeze who closes. He's had some fantastic rounds in this game, in fact. And it's now 11-14. G2 buy up what they can. It does include an auto shotgun on Apex, and he's going to play in a different spot. We haven't seen this boost used yet in this game. So could catch a Tricked off guard, as they've definitely looked to control A Hall several times throughout this game. And he even has Kenny S there as kind of the bait, right? He could take the shot and fall back into the trap of Apex.
Kenny S this time peering through danger. Oh, they haven't checked Apex, and he should be able to just hunt them both down. And indeed he will. Double headshots with the XM. And Freeze is like, come on, bruh. Another clutch. Really?
Why ain't nobody help me?
It's a nice first shot, and he does have the bomb. He's on 26 and 17 as well. What a performance. That switch, the knife, nearly got him killed. The issue here is that there's actually a CT pushing round the back of him, which is allowing the CTs to stack on B.
G2 basically have this one in the book, so they'll approach map point. Money for Trick gonna be a problem since they did have their money reset just now, and not a lot of money was saved. Only a little bit there onto Burrup, and obviously if Freeze can save the AWP. So they'll be working with very little in the next round, which will help G2 out a lot. But it is true that Tricked have done a lot of work in low buy situations. Even closed one of them out, so it's not as if G2 are guaranteed the victory in the next round. But that certainly helps when even the AWP's not carried over.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this could be it for Cobblestone, as G2 will have a few chances to put this away. Again, it's kind of the curveball thrown by Apex on the boosted position that closes out that round and puts G2 in position to move on to the next map with one under their belts already. So of course, Trick scrape together what they can, and they'll look to just try to maybe smash their heads into B, but some great counter utility from G2 really slows it down.
And Body is waiting. He hears a bunch of noise. It actually gets taken down by Hunden. But here comes Shox, MBK, and Kenny S to put the final nails in the coffin of Cobblestone. And as expected, G2 pick up their choice of map and move through in a 1-0 lead. We still have Train and potentially Overpass coming up. But that's a great start for G2.
Yeah, certainly. You know, again, the Cobblestone's really been home turf for them outside of Nuke. It's been their best map, and so it was close at the beginning. You know, we had kind of a tense scrap at the beginning of the first half, but it seemed like G2 really kind of grabbed control of it. They won 8 of the last 11 rounds of the first half. They didn't seem to have too much trouble closing here at the end of the second half either. So it's just, you know, back to business for G2. This is what's expected of them. It is worth noting, though, that we're going to go on the train, which is a map that's been great online for G2, but offline they haven't won it yet. And they're going up against a team in Tricked who showed us some good T-sides on train, particularly yesterday against Hellraisers. So they're going to have a little bit to fight against.
Yeah, I think this is the map for the desk, and I certainly agree with this is the best chance for Tricked to have. If they want to go the distance, Cobblestone was just not anticipated for them to get anything done. I think they actually did better than I expected them to. I thought that would be more of a breeze for G2. And Freeze performing that well. Train's a map we were expecting to see him step up to the plate and deliver. So it makes things very interesting going through into map number 2. But G2 still obviously firm favorites.
Yeah, everyone thought that they should make the finals, and obviously they took a bit of a hit day one, but now they're looking to see if they can't, you know, find themselves back to where they belong. You know, that's really the goal here. But we'll take just a quick break before we get to that next map, so stay tuned.